I'm going to be honest, I kind of let myself down. I wanted to come up with some clever little opening like I've been doing, and make no bones about it, I tried my best, but I could not find a single rib tickler to even get a slight joke. It seems that of all the skeletal structure of my body, I lack a single funny bone. So let's get into the actual chapter itself. Hello, Internet. I am the hero of Julios, once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1184, We're All Bones When We Die. It's such a cheerful opening. Speaking of bones, let's talk about Brook, who happens to be both the main subject of the chapter and the main subject of our artwork this week. We have Brook sitting in an inner tube surrounded by jellyfish. Now you see, Brook is a devil fruit user, so he has to be in an inner tube. And jellyfish are known for stinging people or shocking them. So it's obviously a joke on when you electrocute someone, you can see their bones, but tee-hee, Brook is bones. So that's pretty much it for the artwork. Again, we are almost halfway through the year. It is now June. If we don't start seeing a new chapter cover story by, I want to say, the end of August, I might have to rethink next year's bingo card. I'm not as good at predicting this story as I thought I was. But you're not here to hear about my predictions. You're here to, well, I guess you are technically here to hear about my predictions, but you're also here to just talk about the chapter itself. So let's begin the ramble. Our chapter starts off 7 years after Brook's flashback begins. So Shuri is now 14 years old, and apparently she definitely inherited her mother's beauty, as word of it has spread across the world, or at least across the region of islands. I don't know exactly how far out the story goes, but 5 princes have all arrived in the kingdom of Asperia to be her suitors, to try and win her hand in marriage. And she kicks the crap out of all of them. They all give up. They're all too weak. And she tells them that there's only 2 things she wants in a man. She wants a man who is strong, and she wants a man who can play a musical instrument. Which really confuses them, but I don't know why it confuses them. It's literally the kingdom of instrument makers. How would that confuse you? She is the princess of music. Uta hasn't been born yet. We know later on, well, I guess we don't know later on, but we know Shuri's body has the power of the arrow fruit. So at some point she gains that ability. Whether it's during Brook's flashback or during her time as Gunko isn't exactly clear yet. But yes, getting back to the actual manga itself, Shuri has grown into a very pretty princess, very, very much loved by her people and by suitors across the world. But that has not changed little Shuri's opinion. Even in the 7 years since Brook initially rejected her and said, no, your nose is far too snotty for me. Turns out her crush on him has just grown. She runs up to Brook. Brook's holding her hand because, he is a very important guard of the king, so he has to look after the princess. And she tells him, Brook, look, I beat up all those guys. And he goes, yeah, I saw that, good job. And she goes, you like strong women, right? And you like women who are good with music, and eventually my chest is getting... Brook's just like, okay, that's enough for that. You're still a kid. You need to be a mature young lady. And she goes, you sound like my dad. Yeah, Brook's still taking care of her. He's still very loyal to the king and queen. There's nothing debaucherous going on here. But Brook and her share a love of music. Brook seems to be one for improv. He makes up songs and the two of them sing it together, or it's a song that he wrote and the two of them are singing it together. But at the end of the day, Brook loves his kingdom. And Shuri points out that he loves his king, and he loves his queen, and he loves her, and it's just a very sweet moment in Brook's past that it's still kind of weird getting used to Brook with skin, but I think by the next chapter I'll be used to it. It's just been so long since we've seen Brook alive. But it's at this moment during their little conversation that Brook tells Shuri that he owes the king his life, that it all started before you were born, and we decide to delve even deeper into Brooke's backstory. Although this is only for the rest of the chapter, I assume this is going to be on the shorter side of flashbacks because we technically already have a Brooke flashback. But we decide to delve back to when Brooke was a little kid. Little Brooke is looking through the bars of a prestigious musical school as he sees all these kids learning and playing with real instruments, and he's just kind of being a little dreamer. He's looking towards them and sighing, and eventually he gets shooed off by the guards and he runs away, and he takes out his violin and he starts playing in the garbage. He's in the middle of the dump, and he starts singing about how the king is terrible and it's all the king's fault. And my parents and my little bro, they're all getting thinner and thinner. I am barely anything but bones. How am I still alive? I am very, very concerned. Does Brooke have a little brother? Does Brooke have parents? I mean, obviously he had parents. He was born, but are these characters we're going to meet, or are they just an offhand comment that Brooke's just he's just singing a song? Whatever the reason, a young man overhears him and sort of pokes his head over and says, "Hey, kid, your music's terrible." And he goes, "What do you know? I'm just singing my heart out." And the king goes, "What is that?" And Brooke goes, "Oh, this is my violin. I made it out of some like wire I found and a glass bottle, but doesn't it sound pretty good?" Again, kingdom of instrument makers. They can probably make anything out of anything. You want a cello made out of yarn balls and a flag? Sure. You got a paper clip? Cool. You got a banjo now. It's a kingdom of instrument makers. But as he's talking to this man in a junkyard, the two of them form a bond of friendship. They start hanging out together, singing songs together. Well, the young man more listens to Brooke sing, and Brooke, as a sign of their friendship, treats him to a stew where it's grasshoppers and frog stew, but the secret ingredient is curry powder. He takes this curry powder, he pours it into the soup, and then the soup tastes like curry. Which that's something that finally makes sense. So, way back, I can't believe I'm going to say Whole Cake Island is way back. Way back during Whole Cake Island. Wow, that's hard to say. Way back during Whole Cake Island, we saw Sanji make a bento box where he was kind of just making it absent-mindedly, but he filled it with every member of the crew's favorite food. Then, of course, as the question corner goes, somebody asked Oda, "Hey, which foods correspond to which crew members? Because some of it's a little more confusing than others." And Oda was like, "Okay, so obviously meat is Luffy, hamburgers are, for Frankie, we know Zoro likes rice balls, Nami likes tangerines, you get the point. Brooke's favorite food is curry." Which, honestly, I tried to wrap my head around it. Eventually, I just kind of accepted, okay, Brooke's favorite food is curry. Not everything has to have some deep meaning behind it. Too bad, this has deep meaning behind it. Yes, this is the food he shared with the young man. Well, that curry powder kind of backfired on Brooke. A little bit later, I'd say a little bit of time passes, the young man and Brooke are good friends, and eventually Brooke goes missing. This is because a bunch of Marines grabbed him, took him into a room, and picked his pockets, and they pulled out curry powder. Now, obviously, once the Marines pulled the curry powder out of his pocket, they looked at it and they said, "Oh, we're sorry, little boy. We thought you had something, that was illegal, but it's just some curry powder. Here you go, kid. Be on your way." Because that's what good Marines do. But also it's One Piece, and a lot of Marines are not good. So these guys, they beat up Brooke, they tie him up, and they start interrogating him because apparently they were expecting a mule carrying powder on him for them specifically. So obviously it must be the street urchin kid with an afro, and this mule had curry powder instead. So they're like, "Where's the real powder, brat?" And they start punching him, and Brooke starts singing as loud as he can. I assume it's some of the lyrics to Bing Sake, or maybe it's a song that he's making up himself, but part of the lyrics is, "We're all bones when we die." But as he's singing, he's thinking to himself, "Goodbye, stray dogs. Goodbye, big bro. That's the name he gave the man. But at least, if I'm gonna die, at least I'm gonna die singing. It somehow, knowing that there's a song in my throat, makes this hurt a little less. And just as they're about to do the deed, that's when the young man comes bursting through the door with a young woman holding a sword, and they're all, the Marines are just baffled because they find out that this is not King yet, Prince Reuven. Reuven? I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm more of a, I've only been able to read the name. I haven't really seen it pronounced yet, but, so this is Prince Reuven until I'm told otherwise. Prince Reuven, and he brought along, his finest royal guards because his little buddy Brooke went missing. We were going to go hang out in the junkyard, and as soon as I realized you were missing, I started searching the entire kingdom. Then, they hear over the transponder snail, "Hey, Prince Reuven, we found those smugglers and the powder they had," and the Marines are like, oh, this kid really was just a kid with curry. Well, okay, hey, Mr. Prince Guy, don't mess with us. We're the Navy. We work for the world government. And Reuven just says, yeah, okay, well, since you put it that way, if the world government's hiring scum like you, then the world must be coming to an end, right, Candle? And she's like, I am just your sword, my liege. Point me where you want to point me. He goes, cool. So they all start beating up the Marines. They send them packing. I'm sure attacking a world government affiliated group is not going to bite you in the butt at all. You're not going to receive some visit from a celestial dragon who may or may not decide your wife is super beautiful and that she belongs to me now. Or worse, your daughter is super beautiful and she belongs to me now. Yeah, the next chapter is definitely going to be a fun-filled adventure. It's a One Piece flashback. Ever since Ida, I've sort of given up on hoping for happy endings in a One Piece flashback. Later on, though, Brook does start coming to. He must have blacked out during the fight, and as he's awakening, that's when he sees Candle. And she says, oh man, if I knew... I knew the prince was going missing here and there, but I didn't realize he was leaving for such a cute little friend. And she pokes him on the nose, and he gets a nosebleed because it's One Piece. And the prince says, never mind him, he's fine. Brooke, I want to apologize, buddy. I didn't. It's not like I didn't want to tell you I was the king or the prince. I wasn't trying to hide it or anything. It's just I would get lost in hanging out with you. You're just such a cool guy. You know what? Now that I'm saying it out loud, attention everybody in this room. This kid, we're going to get him a bedroom in the barracks. We're going to get him an education. We're going to get him some nice clothes. We're going to get him a real instrument. And this is going to be my new favorite musician. A star has been born in the kingdom of Asperia. So yeah, Brook's life is turning around. You can see the tears of joy coming out of his eyes as he's hearing this from his little hospital bed. And it's just a nice little heartwarming chapter. Unfortunately, as I just said, it's a One Piece flashback, so yeah. My prediction stands. I think it's going to be, they're going to get a visit from a world government official. Worse, they might get a visit from a celestial dragon. They do have an opera house, so it is entirely possible that, the celestial dragon just shows up to see the opera, then sees the queen, then makes a decision. Whatever happens, though, that's the part that's kind of confusing me. It's a kingdom that doesn't exist anymore. Now, initially, when Brooks said that, my first thought went to, Emu, big blast, problem solved. But I guess it depends on when the Rumbar pirates get involved. Because if Brooke survives the blast and is like the only survivor, and that's when the Rumbar pirates find him at sea? Or is it like O'Hara, where the island just got Buster called? But that both seem like such extreme responses, even by world government standards. I mean, I could see a celestial dragon showing up saying, hey, I'm going to take the queen and princess. The king saying, hey, no, you can't do that. A war breaks out, a fight breaks out. It's a very brief one because obviously the celestial dragons have their gods' nights and whatnot. But then after that, Asperia should be rebuilt, shouldn't it? Or would it just be I mean, I don't think. It's not really super clear how the kingdom doesn't exist at all anymore, but it's been over 70 years. So I guess let me know in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on how you think this kingdom is no longer in existence. My guess is the royalty got taken out because the queen and the daughter are so beautiful, but I'm still baffled as to where Brook becomes a pirate in all this. He is currently 27 in the latest part of the flashback. So it goes to say that he's going to be a pirate soon? He's only 6 years away from when he joined the Rumbar Pirates. I would have to double check his age. Give me one moment. Okay, sorry. Brook was 38 when he joined the Rumbar Pirates, so we still have about 11 years to play with in Brook's flashback. So, honestly, anything could happen. So, again, I will say, please, let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen to this wonderful kingdom of instrument makers, because, as we said before, it no longer exists. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.